everybody. This is take two. I managed to do a whole video in slow motion. It was very funny. I did have a good laugh at that, but this is take two. Hopefully I won't forget anything this time. My name is Michelle here at Michelle's Garden Talk, where we grow pretty much anything in Zone 6A. This is January 30th. Episode 4. So today I'm going to go over some winter sowing, and that's S-O-W-I-N-G, not S-E-W-I-N-G. You see the material. Yes, I sow. No, we're not sowing. We are sowing the seeds. It is still too early to grow outside, but one thing I can do is called winter sowing, and you can use pretty much any plastic bottle or clear container you can find, even like the frosted milk jugs, or as long as it lets light through, it has to let the light through. And what you do is these are water bottles. This is a juice container. I've used milk jugs, apple juice containers, and any bottle. Clean them real good, okay? Take the lids off and throw them away. You don't need the lids, just throw them away. Take all the labels off. Now I cover it in duct tape. I should have had one all ready for you. I didn't. I cut them halfway. This is how I prepare them. I cut them halfway, almost all the way around. Leave a little spot uncut so when you can flip it over like a hinge. Just makes it easier. But if you choose to cut them all the way around, that's fine. You're going to duct tape them together anyway, shut. And you want a good quality duct tape because the cold can really deteriorate your tape. And then you're going to make holes in the bottom. Now how I do that requires adult supervision. Please be responsible. I take a Phillips screwdriver and I heat up on my gas stove burner. So it's plenty hot. It will burn you. It will do some damage. So please be careful where you lay this screwdriver down at. I just put it back on top of my stove. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long. It doesn't ruin the screwdriver. So I heat the screwdriver up and it melts the plastic easier. And I punch like 2 or 3 holes in each bottle. You want drainage. If you do not have drainage, the seeds will rot. So you need the holes. Whatever way is best for you. You can use a knife to cut a hole. You can use a drill with a drill bit, make a hole. Whatever's easiest for you. But it literally just takes me a second. And then I put the screwdriver back in my husband's drawer. So that's how I do it. And I'll fill it about 2/3 full of dirt. A good dirt. It doesn't have to be like top of the line. You want a decent dirt in there. And then you put your seeds in, and then you put a quarter dirt layer on top just to cover the seeds and pat it down a little bit. Okay, now getting the dirt ready. You're going to want to moisten your dirt. I am so sorry if you hear my chicks. They're almost ready to go out and they are getting very big and very noisy. Back to the dirt. You want the dirt moist. Okay, when you moisten your dirt, you want to be able to pick up a handful of it and squeeze it. Okay, if water drips out, it's way too wet. Way too wet. But you want it to kind of stick together a little bit. Like when you squeeze it and it stays together, that's what you're looking for. And that's what you use. Okay, and you put them in here, take a black Sharpie, and mark on the bottle what it is. These are chives, and I did them on the 30th today. I did them this morning. These are chives. I got butter crunch lettuce. I've done squash. I've done many different things. Everything that the early crops you can do now. you don't just have to plant 2 or 3 in here either, like chives. I happen to know there's at least 10 to 15 seeds in here, and for the lettuce there's probably 20. Okay, you can with this method you can do a lot at one time. They will come up when they're ready. You fill this up, you put your seeds in, you put the dirt, you tape it shut, and you put it outside. Okay, just put it outside. And you can do this in our zone as early as December. So I do it now. You want at least 6 to 8 weeks before planting. That's what this does. And when they get big enough, you can separate them into little pots. But I want a nice, healthy plant, and you can do many. They will come up when they're ready. You want to put them outside, like I said, where they can get direct sunlight and they can get like rain and snow. It's okay if it snows on them. It's okay. You want some moisture in here. And for most part up here, very seldom do we have to water these. But if you notice they are drying out, okay, you can get one of those pump sprayers, or you can get this cheap little bottle. I got it at the Dollar Tree, and then you just, squirt 1 or 2 squirts. You don't want it to get too wet in there. Most of the time with the sun, it will form its own condensation in here. Another thing you have to be super careful of is when it is 50 to 55. If these are in direct sunlight, it's going to be like 70 in here. So when it hits about 55, if it's going to be like an all-day thing, go ahead and untape this and take the lids off. You don't want to cook your seeds. A lot of times you'll have little seedlings started growing, and it'll get too hot and just cook them. You don't want to do that. Either that or you could pick the whole bottle up, move it to a shady area. But when it hits about 60, 65, and it stays that way all day, you're going to want to take the lids off on the hinge. Now if it drops below that at night, close the bottles. By then they should be in pots. You should have to replant these. Like I said, do it this way. You don't have all the plants in your house, because we're up north here. You can plant more seeds at a time. You don't have to worry about grow lights or tempering your plants to the outside weather, getting them used to it once they're grown. So this is a very efficient way to grow the cool weather crops. If you live in an apartment and you have a window, it fits. You have a mini greenhouse in your window, you can grow all kinds of stuff. Okay? If you live in the city environment and you have a smaller backyard, so there's not enough room for a greenhouse, you could do container gardening, but you just have no room for a greenhouse. So do a bunch of these bottles and then transplant them to your containers. A very efficient way to start plants without spending thousands of dollars on a greenhouse. Don't get me wrong. I would love to have one of those big commercial greenhouses. That's not in the budget. It is really not. We are off-grid, and our goal this year is to become debt-free, excluding the house, because we just moved here 5 years ago. So we do have a mortgage, but we're gearing towards completely debt-free. And we're not far from it, but we're not there yet. So we don't spend more than we have to. We're very resourceful. So save your bottles and start your winter sowing. Like I said, just put them outside and keep an eye on them. It's very, very efficient. And I've done acorn squash, zucchini, pumpkins. Now for the pumpkins, I think I put 5 seeds, and it was one of the bigger juice bottles. Very efficient way to start growing. Now the only thing I wouldn't recommend putting in there is tomatoes and any kind of peppers. They do need the warmth to start germination. So We have a pellet stove. And I do put my seeds in my tomatoes, my peppers. I grow them in these trays. And then I put them by my wood stove for warmth. Now when we bought our house, the windows are tinted. They do not let the UV lights in. So I have a grow light, or I would end up with very spindly plants. So I do start my tomatoes, my peppers in here. Now all of these do have the plastic dome lids. So we will be putting them out in the greenhouse after I get them used to that kind of environment. We'll put them in the greenhouse after they sprout. They grow faster that way, and they get used to the cooler weather faster too. Like I said, I'll do a tray of peppers and a tray of tomatoes. Now we are converting our barn, because we had a 14-stall barn. We are converting it to an agricultural building at the moment. I will share that with you in the future videos, but what we did with 2 of the stalls, so it's the equivalent of about 10 by 20, 10 foot by 20 area. It had wood paneling on the side that had been there for 30 years, and it was going to need replaced. Now we did the back half of the barn in metal siding, and this year we were going to finish doing the front half of the barn in metal also. But we already have the barn. Why don't we we're not going to get any more horses right now. So it's just a big building that's just sitting there, not doing anything. So we're going to turn it into an agricultural building. Like I said, I got some corrugated polycarbonate panels, which we took the side of the barn off. We put them on there. Now that lets so much light in there and heat. It was 48 the other day when we were putting it on, and I was down to a t-shirt on the inside, helping my husband. But now the inside of the barn, the aisle you walk down, and then here's the stall area. So the outside is the corrugated panels, then we have the stall, and this side we covered in 6mm plastic, and then we had a old screen door at the end so we could go in and out. And now the top is all open because the huge rafters. We're going to leave it open. Should we not be able to grow in there with the heat, what have you, we will put plastic up there also. But the roof does have skylights in it. The previous owner made sure there were skylights, so the sun does come in. There is light. There's so much light. So we're hoping to start growing a little bit more in there. So that's 2 greenhouses. I'm working on a 3rd area. I said I would love to be able to grow all winter. It at least lets you get out and fiddle around with the plants, and so the cabin fever and the irritability is minimal if you can at least get out and do something. So that's what our plans are. I'm not making any promises, but that's our plans. Like I said, the first video was so perfect. Technology is not my friend. Things you can start now here in Zone 6A if you have a greenhouse or you're going to do the winter sowing. Okay, you can start Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, tomato, eggplant, peppers, cucumber, broccoli, celery, onions, lettuce, leeks, and your herbs and your flowers. So that would be like the oregano, the parsley, the thyme, the basil, chives, and your flowers could be sunflowers, zinnias, marigolds. You need them. You need them because when you plant these in the ground, wildlife's already up and about and out of hibernation. Those rabbits and those birds are right there. So you do need the flowers too. I already seen a mole hole the other day. It was by my plastic, my landscaping fabric, my raised beds. There was a hole and there's a mole hole. So they're up, they're awake. Everyone's looking for food. So that's what I'm going to be planting. I highly recommend it. It is very efficient. Uh, Now when I plant, I still use my markers that I showed you. I still use markers, lots of markers, because all plants look the same till they get about 2 leaves on them, and then you can tell what they are. But you don't want to plant something in the wrong spot. My seeds are all over here. Like I said, the first video was perfect. Inside gardening, okay? So don't think you have to go high tech or spend oodles of money. I just don't have money for seeds. Okay. Did you or a family member go to the grocery store and get any vegetables from the produce section? If you get a tomato, you literally can get seeds from that. Did you get potatoes? Now I know everyone, is counting for every little food they get because the food price is phenomenal. It is just ridiculous. Get a potato, 5-pound bag of potato. Get the biggest one out of there and put a paper bag in a cool, dark place, a closet. It will sprout eyes, which you can cut the potato and you'll have 2 or 3 pieces of potato to plant. And you can plant those in a bucket right on your balcony. So there's lots of things you can help with. You can do herbs in your window. If you don't have money for planters, let me show you here. We have a couple. Don't spend money. Do you drink coffee? Save your coffee containers. You have a Folger container here, and it's about a gallon size. Okay, and you save the lid. You put holes in the bottom. You want drainage. That's the biggest downfall of plants. People accidentally overwater. So save your lids and put them under. It catches the water when you water the plants. And you can put these on a window if it fits, or a table near a window, or on your balcony. Now, if these bother you, if it embarrasses somebody, and yeah, I totally get that. You don't want a bunch of cans like this, plastic containers or whatever, lined up on your balcony for everyone to see. So, go down and get a cheap can of spray paint. $3 can of spray paint. Oh, inflation. It might be $5 by now. But spray paint them. Put them on newspaper. Spray paint them. Just the outside. Because the outside doesn't affect what you grow in it. And, you can spray paint this white. Have all white containers. May chip off at the end of the season. But, until that growing season's over, you have a nice looking pot. No one's going to notice. Here's a sugar domino container. Do the same thing with the lid. Like I said, if this bothers you, go get a can of spray paint. Or the acrylic paints at Walmart. And paint it yellow, red, green. Now if you're going to go with darker colors like black, the pots will heat up a little bit more than the other pots. So just make sure you keep an eye on that. Paint them. Use containers, butter bowls, butter containers. Everyone gets butter. Those are big containers. You can grow a lot. You can grow, in this, I could grow a head of cabbage. One, but I could grow a head of cabbage. Or I could grow probably 10 carrots, short, tender carrots in here. I could do 5 leeks. I mean, these could grow quite a bit. Every little bit helps. And grow your food, people. Have you seen what they're trying to sell at the produce section? I would be embarrassed, and this is just my opinion. We went in to the farmer's market last year, and when things were not being shipped very well, I saw wrinkly peppers. I saw cauliflower that had the black spots on it already. I saw cabbage with wilted leaves. Lettuce that looked like it was getting mushy already. I would have been embarrassed if I was a shop owner. Not the fact that they were selling less than perfect produce, because, you know, it was still good to eat. You still could eat it. You just had to cut off the bad parts. It's still very edible. So they weren't selling unedible food. It was less than perfect. Now, if they would have been selling it at a discounted rate, that's fine, but they were selling it at the prime rate for aged produce. So I was very disappointed in the produce stands last year in the grocery store. So I'm going to amp up my growing this year as far as my lettuce, my carrots, my celery, peppers, tomatoes. There's lots you can do. You don't have to go to the produce stands because they do get kind of pricey. I bought a head of cabbage, a head of lettuce. That's what it was, a head of lettuce about a month ago. I wanted a salad. And all they had was iceberg lettuce. I was looking for romaine, but they had none. And this was you know what, I'm going to tell you, it was at Wise Grocery Store where I live. And they had romaine. Romaine was out. It didn't have romaine. They had a coleslaw mix in a bag, and they had iceberg lettuce. That's what I got. Like I said, the first video was so much better. So I got it, and it was small, and it wasn't very firm. I mean, when you kind of like put a little pressure to it, it wasn't tightly packed. I was lucky to get 2 salads out of it. It was small, and I had to pay $4 for this little tiny head. I almost didn't get it. I really wanted the salad. Like I said, I prefer romaine or the loose leaf heads of lettuce, but beggars can't be choosers, and I didn't plan ahead to have lettuce in my greenhouse, so I bought it. It was small, $4. $4 just for lettuce. I'm done. I am growing my own. I am done. So I encourage everybody, if you have a balcony or a small yard or acres of land, I guarantee you could find lease out sections of it, timeshare, crop share. If you're elderly and you can't, but you have the yard to grow, advertise it. Somebody near you doesn't have the space to grow, but they can, and they will help you if they can have a certain percentage of what's grown. If you have 5 acres and it's too much for you, go in it with a neighbor. Ask around if anyone wants to help. You know, so there's ways. There's ways to, you don't have to spend money. You can grow with bottles. You can get your seeds from the produce section. Tomatoes, peppers, even the garlic. Get a head of garlic or a bulb of garlic and separate it and plant that. There's ways. Like I said, there's things you can do now. I encourage the herbs. Herbs can be grown inside. And they can change the flavor of a lot of different foods. So, yep, I encourage the foods. Use your plastic containers. Use your buckets. If you're embarrassed, paint them. You can do anything with them. Put a fabric cover on the outside. Use a wallpaper border. You know, first of all, you shouldn't worry about what other people think. You're growing food. So you're already like 2 steps ahead of them if they're not. But I highly encourage it. Like I said, right now in Zone A, you can grow Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, tomato, eggplants, peppers, cucumbers, broccoli, celery, onions, lettuce, parsley, leeks, herbs, and flowers. Start them. If you have any questions, please ask me. And please share. Oh my gosh, my way is not the only way. Share and show me. I love to learn new tips and tricks. I'd love to see what other people are growing. So by all means, comment. Tell me what you like, what you don't like, what you want seen on a video. I can do that for you. Again, this is Michelle at Michelle's Garden Talk. This is take 2 for episode 4. It is January 30th. Thumbs up if you like, thumbs down if you don't. Again, I will talk to you guys soon. I have lots to share. Next time, I'll check the slow motion. I'll see y'all later. Bye.